Good evening and welcome back. What you are about to hear may sound like a routine confirmation exchange, but beneath the polite tone and measured answers was a sharp confrontation over power, accountability, and the future of the Justice Department.
Senator Whitehouse.
Thank you, Chairman. Welcome, Ms. Bondi.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for meeting with me. I greatly appreciate that.
It was a pleasure. Ms. Bondi, you were a courtroom prosecutor for a great many years. As a courtroom prosecutor, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
And you went on to be Florida's Attorney General. As Florida's Attorney General, did you ever have an enemies list?
No, Senator.
As Florida's Attorney General, you were responsible for hiring into the Florida Department of Attorney General, correct?
Senator, the Attorney General's office in Florida is the third largest in the state, approximately 1,400 employees and approximately 400 lawyers. Only California and Texas are our bigger offices.
And you were responsible
yes.
for hiring into that office while you were Attorney General?
Yes.
Would you
Senator.
have hired someone into the Florida Attorney General's office who you knew had an enemies list?
Senator, to cut to the chase, you're clearly talking about Kash Patel. I don't believe he has an enemies list. He made a quote on TV, which I have not heard. I saw your sign, or Senator Durbin's sign, about Kash. But I know that Kash Patel has had 60 jury trials as a public defender, as a prosecutor. He has great experience in the Intel Department, Department of Defense. I have known Kash, and I believe that Kash is the right person at this time for this job. You'll have the ability to question Mr. Patel.
And I'm questioning you right now
do.
about whether you will enforce an enemies list that he announced publicly on television.
Oh, Senator, I'm sorry. There will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice.
Thank you. The FBI's, what is the FBI's role in national security and counterterrorism, and how important is that role?
You know, Senator, I believe now more than ever, counterterrorism is so important and vital in our country. We are facing such incredible threats here and abroad. I'm sure many of you saw former FBI Director Wray's interview on 60 Minutes. He talked about the threats that, frankly, again, I don't have my security clearance, but the threats facing us, Senator, from China right now that are so great, the sleeper cells within our country.
Given that importance, is it responsible to call for shutting down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work? And will you, as Attorney General, impede or shut down the FBI's counterterrorism and national security work?
Senator,
Two questions.
Senator, I believe that national security is vital right now for our country on so many fronts. I could continue to discuss many others.
And the FBI's role in that?
And the FBI plays a vital role in counterterrorism
which you
throughout
will
our
or will
world.
not shut down.
I will look at each agency. I have no intention of shutting anything down right now, Senator. I am not in that office yet, and if confirmed, I will look at each individual agency and how it should be managed, but counterterrorism right now in our world is vital.
You have said that Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted in the Trump administration. What Department of Justice prosecutors will be prosecuted and why?
I said that on TV. I said prosecutors will be prosecuted, to finish the quote, if bad. Investigators will be investigated. You know, we all take an oath, Senator, to uphold the law. None of us are above the law. Let me give you a really good example of a bad lawyer within the Justice Department, a guy named Klein Smith, who altered a FISA warrant, one of the most important things we can do in this country. So will everyone be held to an equal, fair system of justice? If I am the next Attorney General, absolutely, and no one is above the law.
Under what circumstances will you prosecute journalists for what they write?
I believe in the freedom of speech. only if anyone commits a crime. It's pretty basic, Senator, with anything, with any victim. And this goes back to my entire career for 18 years as a prosecutor and then 8 years as Florida's Attorney General. You find the facts of the case, you apply the law in good faith, and you treat everyone fairly.
And it would not be appropriate for a prosecutor to start with a name and look for a crime. It's a prosecutor's job to start with a crime and look for a name, correct?
Senator, I think that is the whole problem with the weaponization that we have seen the last 4 years and what's been happening to Donald Trump. They targeted Donald Trump. They went after him, actually starting back in 2016. They targeted his campaign. They have launched countless investigations against him. That will not be the case if I am Attorney General. I will not politicize that office. I will not target people simply because of their political affiliation. Justice will be administered even-handedly throughout this country. Senator, we've got to bring this country back together. We've got to move forward, or we're going to lose our country.
Yeah, I think the concern is that weaponization of the Justice Department may well occur under your tenure, and we want to make sure that that's not the case, that you remain independent, that you remain able to and willing to tell the president no when that's necessary to protect the Constitution and the integrity of the department. So that's where I'm asking these questions. We talked in the meeting about the contacts policy that has prevailed really since Senator Hatch sat in that chair and demanded it of the Clinton Justice Department through all the administration since then, with the exception of a brief period under Attorney General Gonzalez, which he corrected and which did not end well for him. There has been a contacts policy that limits contacts between the White House and the Department of Justice to a very few senior officials on each side. In your role as Attorney General, if you are confirmed, will you maintain, defend, and enforce that longstanding contacts policy?
Senator, yes, I will meet with White House counsel and I will meet with the appropriate officials and follow the contacts policy.
My time has expired. Thank you, Ms. Bondi.
Senator Cornyn.
If you want clear, fact-based breakdowns of moments like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now so you do not miss what comes next. Today's exchange featured Senator Sheldon Whitehouse questioning Pam Bondi, a former Florida Attorney General and nominee under intense scrutiny. On the surface, the discussion centered on experience and judgment. In reality, it was about something far more consequential, whether political loyalty could translate into retaliation inside America's law enforcement institutions. Before we go deeper, take a moment to subscribe so you can keep getting analysis that goes beyond the sound bites. Whitehouse began by establishing Bondi's professional background, not as a casual introduction, but as a legal foundation. She was a longtime courtroom prosecutor. She later ran one of the largest attorney general offices in the country, overseeing roughly 1,400 employees and 400 lawyers. That matters because it frames the standard she is being held to. This was not a theoretical discussion. It was about how power is exercised when you control hiring, firing, and prosecutorial discretion. Subscribe now if you want these moments explained with context, not spin. The senator then introduced the core concern, the idea of enemies list. Bondi was asked directly whether she had ever kept one as a prosecutor or as attorney general. Her answer was no, both times. That may sound straightforward, but the question was not really about her past. It was about her future judgment and whether she would tolerate or enforce such a practice under someone else's influence. And this is where the exchange sharpened. When White House asked whether she would hire someone she knew had an enemies list, Bondi immediately identified the subtext. She named Kash Patel, a controversial figure who has publicly suggested targeting political opponents. Her response was defensive, but revealing. She reframed Patel's remarks as misunderstood comments, emphasized his trial experience, and highlighted his service across government agencies. This is a common rhetorical move in confirmation hearings: shift from the allegation to the resume. If you are finding this analysis useful, subscribe now so you do not miss future breakdowns like this. But White House did not let the issue drift. He redirected the focus back to the principle, not Patel's qualifications, but the idea of retaliation itself. Would Bondi enforce or allow an enemies list inside the Department of Justice? Her answer was unequivocal. She said there would never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice. That line matters because it creates a public commitment. In legal and political terms, it is a statement that can later be measured against actions, not intentions. Subscribe now to stay informed on how these promises hold up over time. The hearing then pivoted to national security, and this shift was not accidental. The senator asked about the FBI's role in counterterrorism and national security, areas that have increasingly become politicized. Bondi responded by stressing the severity of current threats, particularly from China, referencing concerns about sleeper cells and foreign interference. Even without access to classified briefings, she framed national security as urgent and non-negotiable. This set up the final and most consequential question. Given how vital counterterrorism work is it responsible to call for shutting down or undermining the FBI's national security operations? And would she, as Attorney General, impede that work? This question goes to the heart of institutional independence. It is not about one investigation or one administration. It is about whether law enforcement serves the Constitution or political interests. If you want to keep following how this debate unfolds, subscribe now. Bondi's answer emphasized continuity and importance. She said national security is vital and reaffirmed the FBI's role. On paper, that aligns with long-standing bipartisan consensus, but hearings like this are not judged only by words spoken under oath. They are judged by what happens afterward, by staffing decisions, investigative priorities, and whether political pressure quietly reshapes enforcement. If you want reporting that helps you understand not just what was said, but why it matters and what to watch next, subscribe to the channel now. We will continue to break down these hearings, connect them to real-world consequences, and explain how power actually works in Washington.